Jon Jones disgraces the sport of MMA yet again. Where do I even start? I was watching Luke Thomas when the news about him retiring came out, and Luke is like, he takes like 30 seconds to like gather. He's like, what? He like, it's like, what do you say? I mean, the guy has had a great inside the octagon career where he's defended the belt, he's done all these things, he's beat some of the best guys, and outside and these other issues and the way that he acts, it's like, it's gonna stop at some point. It's gonna get better at some point. Just when you think it's gonna get better, it gets even worse. And this past year, where he's been holding out on the belt, not fighting the interim champion. The only reason why you have an interim belt is because the current champion can't fight. And until he can fight, you fight. And he holds out this whole time. Like, you know, these little messages saying he's going to fight, saying he's not going to fight, saying he's more interested in fighting other fights that aren't the interim champion, Tom Aspinall. And it's like, well, what's the point of you holding the title? What's the point of you being there if that's how you're going to act? And the crazy thing is that the UFC put up with it for this long. And so I don't know if some of that has to do with, yet again, another hit and run case. And these people who talk about, well, what he did inside the octagon should have nothing to do with outside the octagon. I disagree. I think that should go into account. You know, think about how unlikable Jon Jones is, and think about how likable someone like Charles Barkley is. Now, two different sports, two different scenarios, but think about it. What did Charles Barkley say? I am not a role model. That was one of his commercials that he came out. I'm not a role model. Now, when you're in that stage, right? When you're on the biggest stage, you are a role model, whether you want to be or not. It doesn't matter. You are a role model. So the commercial doesn't make sense. But at least Charles Barkley comes out and says, don't make me a role model. I am not this great person. I have all these flaws. He's super honest with himself, with the world. And that's why he's super likable. He's unapologetic about what he says because he says what he feels and he expresses his opinion. And that's why he's paid. He's like one of the top paid guys for his opinion because he's honest. Jon Jones is not honest. He's the most unlikable person because on one day he's one person, on another day he's another person, on another day he's another person. And you want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's so great inside the cage, but he's so annoying with the way that he goes about his business, whether that's talking about fights, whether that's him dealing with drug tests. He had another accusation come out soon, whether run-ins with the law. It's like, it doesn't end. And this guy comes out and starts talking about the Bible and Jesus and all these things. It's like, just admit that you're flawed and that you're working on yourself versus putting out this persona like you're something, and then behind closed doors, it's the same story over and over again. You might be, hey, maybe he is trying to work on himself, but we're not seeing it. The fact that he got another hit and run this past year is crazy. How does anyone have a hit and run unless if you're blacked out? Now, maybe he was blacked out and he didn't know what he was doing, but it's just unacceptable behavior after unacceptable behavior. And I think if I was the UFC, I would cut ties with this guy altogether. I wouldn't show highlights of him anymore. I wouldn't put him, they already put him in the Hall of Fame. I would try to distance myself so much with him. If you really want to do what you want to do and have the jerseys, you know, they've got the Venom, you know, kit, and they're trying to make it like a professional sport more and more. Now, hey, there are lots of other sports stars that have had these conflicts and they've left, they've kept them in. But time and time again, he keeps doing it. And it's an embarrassment for the sport. But now it's affected the business of your sport. He's led you on, or they were trying to figure out what to do behind the scenes because of this court case or because of what happened. And now how does it look? Now he makes you look stupid. He looks stupid. You just screwed over, could be one of your biggest stars in Tom Aspinall. It's ridiculous. And I think that as fans, to support Jon Jones now, it just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. I haven't liked him from the get-go. Now, at the same time, though, when he was fighting DC, Daniel Cormier, Cormier wasn't that likable either, okay? He's become a lot more likable, okay? But at the time, he was kind of not very likable. And so Jon Jones was a little bit more likable, even with all the other stuff going around him. But then you have the steroids. Then you have, the problems with the law. Then you have this cycle repeating again. Then you have this whole thing with Stipe where he comes in and he doesn't want to fight Tom and he wants to fight Stipe, and he's not sitting there going, I'll fight all comers. Yeah, I'll fight the interim champ and then I'll fight, DC. I'll beat both of these guys, all right? He's not coming out and saying that. Now, hey, he has nothing to prove. You're right. Retire then. If that's truly what it is, then why are you talking about fighting Pereira? If that's what it is, why are you saying that as long as I get paid the right amount, as long as I get 6 months, remember that? I need 6 months before I can fight Tom. You're out shooting, living your best life. What a ridiculous thing to say from a professional athlete that literally is holding on to something that another athlete cannot access. He cannot make a move in his career without you making a decision, and you're out there living your best life. It's a disgrace, and it should be held against him in his legacy, in my opinion. It should. It's sad. It's sad that someone so great inside the octagon can make his legacy so terrible, in all included. You take it all into consideration, I don't even think he should be considered as, I forget him, forget his memory on the sport. Literally, that's how I look at it. Other people have done less and been excluded from their sports. Why don't we hold the same example? Well, maybe because UFC is still a bunch of degenerates. Hey, if you had the skills of an athlete and you could play baseball, play basketball, play soccer, play football, well, maybe not football with the brain damage stuff, why would you choose MMA? If you had the skills to become a champion in MMA or be a starting five on a basketball team, why would you choose MMA? All the stuff that you have to do in regard to how much damage your body takes, okay? The amount of money, the amount of hoops that you have to jump through, the amount of people that you have to deal with, okay, just to get a fight. Look at what Tom Aspinall's going through. And the guy's, he's not even taking any damage besides breaking his own leg, okay? It's like, why would you do that if you were an elite athlete? Why would you put yourself in this position? So of course you're not going to get the creme of the creme of human beings, because if you have any bit of brains, you're going to try to choose another sport. So I understand that. But if we want the sport to move on, we have to set higher standards for our athletes, that when they do make a mistake, you say, hey, this isn't how we act. So we raise the bar. Instead of, what did the UFC try to do? They tried to lower the bar because they wanted Jon Jones to limbo underneath it. They wanted to make sure that he stayed in because he's such a great fighter and he's done these great things for your organization. We want to make it easier for him to be part of that legacy. No, get him out. Raise the bar. And I just think it's sad because of what Tom Aspinall's going through. Now, there's some closure in the division, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me, knowing what I know about Dana White and the UFC and their dollar signs for eyes. If Jon decides that he wants to come back for whatever reason, let's just say if Tom Aspinall loses or if there's some other opportunity down the line, they will. And that's sad, because that shows you that it's not just Jon Jones, it's also the UFC. So Jon Jones disgraces the UFC disgraces the sport of MMA as well, I think. If they knew what was going on behind the scenes, they need to take some responsibility as well. And they probably won't, because, they were kind of, at least Dana has kind of moved on from the sport. They've gotten it to a certain level. I think they know what makes them money, and they know the reach that they have. And it might be saturated at this point. I don't know. I think there's a lot more potential if you're building up stars and you're upholding the standard. Look at people like Mighty Mouse, what he's been doing online in the YouTube sphere. Look at people like Tom Aspinall, same thing. Now, maybe they're kind of getting toward that plateau point, but I think with the way that we can change the idea of the sport being not just some bloody sport where you're beating the shit out of people, it's a martial art, mixed martial arts. All right, the art aspect of things, more honor. What did Khabib say? This is a respect sport. Now, the disrespect sells pay-per-views, and but what's going to get out into the reach? What's going to affect more people? I think that they should take a page from tennis. This is how I would change part of MMA is instead of interviewing when a championship fight happens, this is what happens when you watch any of the final match of any tennis match. This would be for championship matches or the main events as they do. Instead of interviewing the champion first and then interviewing the second prize, the loser, you interview the second prize, the loser gets interviewed first, and you make it like the culture of tennis. What do? They congratulate the winner. They speak praise upon the winner. They thank their coaches. They thank the fans. They thank the sponsors. They give thanks for the opportunity to be there. Whether you believe it or not, it's part of the culture in tennis, and it makes tennis classy, and more people want to watch it. That's why there's crazy prize money in tennis. Just look at what Jannik Sinner. You probably don't have never even heard of him. You probably heard of Nadal. You probably heard of Federer. You've probably heard of Djokovic. Look at how much money Alcaraz and Sinner have made. Millions of dollars. Never even heard of them, because the sport is attractive to people around the world because it's a respect sport. If we did that to MMA, who knows? Maybe people follow along, maybe not. Maybe it is saturated enough. I don't know, but that's what I would do. You interview the loser first. Respect, respect, respect. Thank you for the opportunity. Hey, I screwed up. Hey, I wasn't in the head. Hey, I have this excuse. Then you can do your deal. But respect first. Then the winner goes. And they do the same thing. They thank the opponent. They praise the opponent. They praise their team. They praise the stadium, the people, their coaches, all that. They give praise, and then they can celebrate. You make it a respect sport, because the amount of balls it takes just to get in the ring is crazy. And the fact that we don't honor that, the fact that it's still about talking shit. Yeah, you can have all that. That's still fun, right? Look at wrestling, right? People freaking love that stuff, and they know it's fake. So you can ham that up, but when it's all said and done, respect sport. That's what I think that should happen, all right? For me, Jon Jones doesn't have that. You look at the way his past opponents talk about him, they don't have that with him, all right? Get rid of him. Let's raise the bar. If you really want this sport to advance, all right? I think there's so much potential, because it's a beautiful sport when you really take it down. Can I hurt you without you hurting me? Can I touch you without you touching me? And use not a ball, not a bat, but all of my weapons that I have on my body and my brain. So to me, it's a beautiful sport. That's why I follow it. Let's raise the bar.